One of the things you've highlighted is that the institutions are really what kind of made the Roman Empire. But often when we tell the story of the Roman Empire, we're talking about these key individuals, Scipio and Julius Caesar and Constantine. How is that play between like the great man of history and the great institutions of history kind of square off in the Roman story?
What we see in Rome is the society occasionally does depend on some super talented and charismatic person emerging. But most of the time, the Roman story is about not allowing those people to emerge because the institutions are doing their jobs. When you see Caesar emerge in the 40s and say, I can guarantee your rights as a citizen, that doesn't sell unless people feel like their rights are being violated. There's no need for Augustus if the Republic is functional. And people wouldn't gravitate towards that person, and they wouldn't give them the space to remake the world around themselves and around their vision because the institutions are working. What Roman history shows us is most of the time, because Rome is very invested in these institutions evolving, the institutions are strong enough that they can prevent this great man from emerging. And even in the empire, the institutions are strong enough that they resist the crazy emperors. Rome was fortunate in the fact that a number of times when the institutions become so weak that they can't restrain somebody, they get somebody who's capable of understanding how to rebuild those institutions so that they do work. So this was true of Augustus and Caesar. This was true of Diocletian and Constantine. But at the end, when those institutions were too weak, there was nobody. There was a vacuum. The emperors in the 1180s, 1190s, and early 1200s were terrible. And they didn't have that capacity, and they didn't have that vision. And the society needed somebody like that at that moment because the institutions were too weak to actually generate the kind of response that would have allowed Rome to survive the Fourth Crusade. And so I think that the secret of Rome is most of the time those institutions are robust enough that these people don't show up. But there are moments where Rome did get lucky. When its institutions were weak, it got somebody who was good enough to rebuild them. No society can count on that. But societies can count on building institutions and generating faith in those institutions sufficient so that those people aren't needed.